That one? Sound? No, am I muted? Can you hear me now? Surely you can hear me. That one? Sound? Oh, there we go. Thank God for that. I'll tell you what. So I had an absolute nightmare right before we went live. So the cable bent that's plugged into the mic, and I realised about 10 minutes before going live. So I had to unplug it all out. It was absolute panic. And then I got the new cable plugged in. I don't know why on OBS it wasn't picking that setting up. So I've just switched it over. So hopefully you can hear me now. Let me know in the chat if you can. Still muted? Hang on, let me unmute my stream. Din. Yeah, no, it's fine now. Alright, thank God for that. Yeah, thank you everyone for being here for this stream. What was I saying? I was saying, welcome to the stream. I was saying we're going to go for an hour and a half stream today, which has been cut short by 4 minutes already. So apologies for that. But thank you for being here. Obviously my wildcard is active, so this is my wildcard team on screen, locked in. So I'll talk about some of my picks. We've got loads to go through. We'll do a news roundup in a minute. We'll look at the kings of the Gameweek, scout selection, goal scoring bookies odds, clean sheet odds, and loads more. So welcome to the stream, everyone. And apologies for the muted mic, but we're good to go now. There's always technical issues on this channel. I don't know how I manage it, but that's why I like the videos, because I can't go wrong in a video, or at least you guys don't know when I do. In fact, I do often go wrong in videos because you've got Teddy in the background. He's here now, actually. He might make a cameo later on. But anyway, get your questions in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer all your questions. John C asks Saka over Kulu. So I looked at both for my wildcard. I think Kulu probably does start, but in my case, I went for Saka. If I went for Kulu, in my case, I'd have to downgrade somewhere else, maybe Fofana down to a cheaper defender. So that was partly my thinking. My plan is that in probably game week 10, I'm going to move Saka on for Zaha. And that frees up enough cash to later bring in Salah for De Bruyne and then Trent for Cancelo. So that's kind of my loose plan with the team. Ideally, I wanted Nico to be someone else, but it had to be Nico basically to make sure there was enough money for Salah and Trent, which are two players that I do want down the line. As we know, Man City and Arsenal do blank in Game Week 12, which is in my thinking. So, yeah, that's the reason behind that pick. If I had to pick between Saka and Kulu, I think I would still go Saka, but not much in it. Albi Sedi says, wildcard on -4, Mitrovic or Isak. I think if you can get a good team out with a -4, then absolutely do that instead. In my case, I could only field 9 after transfers, so my hand was kind of forced, and that's why I've activated the wildcard. But if you can get 10 or 11 with a -4, certainly doesn't mean you have to wildcard. Certainly if you can field 11, so I would say no. Mitrovic or Isak, Mitrovic for me. Hamza says, will St. Maximin play? Hal didn't really give much away in his conference today. He was pretty coy, but we'll do the news roundup in a minute. It sounds like St. Maximin probably won't play. Maybe makes the bench. Quick Take says, Tony or Isak? I think Isak. I think he's a quality pick for the next 3. You know, Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth are rock bottom in the league for expected goals conceded. Really, really good fixture. Newcastle at home. And then it's Fulham away. Not a bad fixture. Brentford at home. So I think Isak looks better for the next 3. Tony looks better, probably longer term. And obviously he's a proven asset in FPL, whereas Isak's a bit of a gamble. But I like the Isak pick. I did have Tony in a couple of my drafts, but for me it's Isak over Tony. I've got 0.4 mil on the bank, so that is a move I could make in a few weeks if I wanted to. Will Walker play? There's a few questions related to the news roundup actually, so we'll do the news roundup, which should answer some of the questions that are coming in already. Starting off with Arsenal, there's some reports from Ukraine that Zinchenko's picked up an injury in training and he's going to miss the Brentford match this weekend. So no Zinchenko, be Tierney in left back. He'll stay in London and he's not going to go on the international break with Ukraine for the Nations League. Bit of Man United news. Rashford obviously wasn't in the Europa League squad. He tweeted about it. He said that he's picked up an untimely injury, so I think he may miss the international break as well. But But yeah, Rashford's got an injury for those of you that still got him. I think it's a no-brainer to sell with the blank this weekend and then Man City in Game Week 9. So yeah, going back to Newcastle. Newcastle still nursing a few fitness concerns heading into the weekend. I don't expect to see St. Maximin from what I'm hearing from Craig Hope. So yeah, I think St. Maximin's going to be in a void. He did make it into a few of my wildcard drafts, but I think because it's uncertain and he's not been spotted in training that he's in a void. Laporte is back in training though, not quite ready, and Kyle Walker's getting better but remains a doubt for the weekend, says Pep. So my gut says that Walker is probably going to be benched. We might see Stones in right back, maybe we'll see Cancelo right back, Gomez left back, something like that. And a bit of Villa news from Sam Martin, good friend of the channel. He says that Leon Bailey is set to start tonight for anyone concerned. Quite a popular pick on the wildcard. Good fixture for Villa, home to Southampton. So, yeah, good news there that Leon Bailey starts. I have asked my Villa source if he's got any further news on the Villa lineup. So he said if he gets anything, he'll message me during the stream and I'll let you guys know. CFJW says, below 7.5 mil, I've got Zaha and Madders currently on a wildcard. So you're looking for another mid in that price bracket. I think it has to be... Oh, how much is Saka? 7.8, is he? I think it'd have to be Martinelli. Yeah, that's the problem. There's not many options right now in that mid-price bracket due to some of the blanks. Not sure how much Gundogan is, but he's a bit of a minutes risk. I probably wouldn't go there. And this is why I preferred De Bruyne on the wildcard, because he uses up a midfielder spot, whereas Kane uses up a striker spot when you can have the likes of Isak or Mitrovic. So that's why I ended up with De Bruyne, because he frees up that extra striker spot. Because for me, it was always going to be Mitrovic and Haaland, and then it's basically Isak and De Bruyne, or Kane and a midfielder in that bracket. And obviously Zaha blanks this week as well. So I'd say Martinelli if you haven't got him. There's not many options. I think you're fine to start someone like Pereira if you need to. Ahmed says, since Game Week 12 is a blank for Arsenal and City, shouldn't we be avoiding loading up on players from Arsenal in our wildcard? I read some rumours that Arsenal might blank in Game Week 9. Is it true? So to answer the first question, Game Week 12, if you've got a good plan in place, then it's fine. You know, we've got benches and that's what they're for. So in my case, I'm probably going to move Saka on for Zaha in Game Week 9. Or no, Game Week 10. I'm going to give Saka the next two. And then Palace have a really good run of fixtures, Game Week 10 onwards, because their next two is blank and then Chelsea. And then after that, it's Leeds at home and some other good fixtures. So that will reduce one Arsenal player. I'm only doubled up, not triple up. I agree, triple up is probably too much. Regarding Game Week 9, there's reports that the train strikes are back on the 1st of October, which I think clashes with some Game Week 9 fixtures. But it's almost certainly not going to affect any Premier League games, because I don't think the tubes are on strike. And they're going to be the primary way of getting around in Game Week 9. So all good, I would say, regarding Game Week 9 as well and postponements. Today's choice is Pepsi Max, unflavoured this one. Got a bit sick of the cherry ones. So let me just pour that. Slice of lime as well. Going classy for the wildcard stream. So, yeah, welcome everyone to the stream. We've got 2,200 tuned in already. Unbelievable. Only been live for about 12 minutes. So, yeah, welcome all to the stream. Dan, Joel, Joran, Rob, Kim, Suman, Epic, YA, Robert, Eero, Chris, Mark, FPL Mafia, Kieran, and everyone else. Get all your questions in. We've got loads to cover on this stream. As I was saying, my wildcard's active, and this is my team. Doubled up on Chelsea. A little bit risky, but realistically, I'm not going to use Fofana much. I'll probably start him when they play Wolves at home. I think that's a really good fixture for Chelsea there. But other than that, it's going to be Cancelo and Trippier will start every game. Maybe not when Trippier's got Man U. And obviously from Game Week 9, James comes back into my starting 11. Rizzle Diggs, love the username. He says, love your vids. Charles Perisic, the minutes. Yeah, so this is it. Perisic is a big minutes risk. I think he played the 90 in the Champions League on Wednesday. I think he probably starts again. Maybe we'll even see him start in right wing back. Conte was talking about it in this press conference. He was saying that he can play in right wing back, so maybe he gives Emerson a rest. So Perisic is certainly the highest ceiling pick. Newcastle got the best clean sheet odds, something to factor in, but Perisic has got all the attacking threat. So yeah, if money's no obstacle and there's nothing else you can use that for, then I would say Perisic. Chase the upside. Mosiah says, hi Oscar, love your vids. I need to bench Nico or Andreas. Why did you pick Nico over Andreas? Well, I have to play minimum of 3 defenders, if that's what you mean. So I had no choice but to start Nico, because James and Fofana blank. So yeah, it's a little bit of a gamble in that sense. I can't afford for any of these defenders to not play, because I would just be down to 10 men. But I'm feeling quite happy that these 3 will play, to be honest. So I'm fine with that risk. Yeah, Andreas, I think he's a really good option. For me, it's Andreas or Maddison. Who would you guys start, Andreas or Maddison? I tweeted about this, was it yesterday? And I think the majority are starting Andreas, but I think Maddison. I think it's the highest ceiling pick. Oh, someone's at the door. I think it's Amazon. Teddy, you get it. They'll leave it outside the door. No worries. Saka or Odegaard? Saka. Almiron or Bailey? Bailey. Oh, okay. Most of you guys will start Maddison. A few Andreas. Lewis says Andreas. Nicholas. Andreas. I think it's close. You know, Maddison's more central to everything that Leicester do. He's the exciting pick. Oh my god, that's so good. Amazon have already sent me a photo of what they've delivered. They left it outside my door and sent a photo of it. I guess that's so I can't say that I didn't receive it. Owen says, so Chelsea blanking 2. I just took a -4 for Sterling. Yeah, they're blanking. No fixture this weekend for Chelsea. They're not back until Gameweek 9. No Chelsea fixture for a good couple of weeks. I mean, you have to look at the fixture tickers. Treat that as a lesson, right? You can look at the fixture ticker before you make transfers in the future. To be fair, it's very rare that fixtures get postponed. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. Another Oscar. Oscar says, hello, Oscar. Almiron or Bowen for the next 2 weeks. I mean, they're totally different price brackets. I have to say Bowen there. Definitely Bowen. But what do you guys think about Bowen? Like, everyone's suddenly looking at him. 8.1 mil. He's got no returns in his 6 games played so far. He didn't start last night in the Europa League or Europa Conference, whatever it is. Came off the bench, made a mistake that led to a goal last night. For 8.1, I don't know. I'm not convinced. You know, I'd rather just have someone cheaper. Like you mentioned, people are talking about Almiron, Bailey, Andreas. I think I'd rather save the money and use it somewhere else. Tom Brady says, thoughts on Zaha? Yeah, so Zaha was another one. He made a few of my drafts. Instead, he's probably going to come in Gameweek 10. But I think Zaha's fine to have and bench this week. And then you start someone like Andreas. Yeah, good pick, but obviously blank, so just bear that in mind. So let's have a look at the kings of the game week. Guesses in the chat. Who's the king going to be in Game Week 8? Obviously in Game Week 7 there was no king. A few people said that I should add Ward to this because everyone scored 0, so I might do that. Put that old FPL legend Ward in there. Yeah, so far we've had Shah, Jesus, Odegaard, Firmino, Haaland, Rashford. No one in Game Week 7. Who's it going to be Game Week 8? Guesses in the chat. Brian says he doesn't get the Bowen thing. Yeah, I don't get it either. We say that now. It's going to be Bowen, isn't it? Game Week 8. But yeah, I don't get the Bowen hype right now. The fixtures are very good, so obviously, you know, it could turn in Bowen's favour and he could start to do better. You know, Moyes was saying we're starting to see the old Bowen again, but yeah, no returns so far. A few Haaland guesses in the chat. Mitrovic. I hope it's Haaland. He's my captain. I guess his effective ownership is going to be nearly 200%, so whatever he does, you don't gain much if he's your captain. We'll do a captain poll later, actually. I'm interested to know if anyone's not going Haaland captain. Manu reckons it's going to be Trippier. Henlo says Tony. Harry reckons it's going to be Gundo. Epic says Isak. Oh, I hope it's Isak, as an Isak owner. Kane. Oh, I hope it's not Kane. He was in so many of my wildcard drafts. Maybe we can poll that later as well. Who's better to have on a wildcard, De Bruyne or Kane? Both have really got their upside. You know, like I was saying earlier, Kane gives you a captain option this week and in a few game weeks when Haaland has Liverpool. But De Bruyne used up a midfielder spot, which frees up a third striker spot for someone like Isak or Mitrovic or Tony, whoever you haven't got out of those three. I swear to God, if it's some. Brian says he prefers Pereira and Zaha over Maddison. So for me, it's obviously not a good fixture this game week for Leicester, away to Spurs. But Spurs, to be fair, not looking as good recently. Lost 2-0 in the Champions League. Perhaps you could say Spurs need to make a statement because of that loss. But you have to look long term as well. Forest at home, game week 9, unbelievable fixture. I mean, Bournemouth away, such good fixtures here. So he's a long term hold for me. I'll likely bring him in for this next 6, maybe longer if he does keep performing over that run. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, Leicester obviously another side out of form as well. Max says planning a wildcard next week. Best mid for under 9.1. Under 9.1. Let's have a look at the predicted points. I would say my first thought would be Saka if it's a 1 week punt. I mean, you could punt on someone like Foden if you've got room for a third City player. But yeah, I really think someone like Saka, he's really impressed me the last couple of game weeks. He's upped his game, playing even better than he was. So I think Saka's a really good short-term punt. For me, he's going to be a 2 week punt, and then I'll sell him for Zaha when Palace's fixtures turn. So yeah, I would say Saka. You could also consider Foden. Be between those two for me. But yeah, Kane's top of the projections, interestingly, this week. Haaland second, De Bruyne third, Isak, Mitrovic, Saka, Jesus, Trippier, Martinelli, Cancelo, Foden. I tweeted a thought just before I went live, actually. You get comfortable feeling like your wildcard's great, and then you remember that Jesus is still owned by like 73% of managers, which is like 7.6 million managers that still have Jesus, so he could do a lot of damage this week. Tatenda says, my top candidate for captaincy is De Bruyne, but I'm worried about him not getting minutes since he played the full 90 in the Champions League. Thoughts, merits, a valid concern. Ordinarily, I would say, yeah, it's a valid concern, but maybe you could argue the case that he's been rested. The whole of Game Week 7 was postponed, so on the weekend he was rested, right? If he'd played 90 on the weekend, last weekend, played 90 midweek, then I would say it's much more of a concern. It still is a risk. In fact, I've got a graphic here from Jump the Wave, and what she does is she goes on the City forums and pulls together all their predictions to get a kind of consensus or like an aggregate team of who they think will start for City. And I'll show you how it came out. It's quite interesting. There's a lot going on here, but just to summarise, the 1 means they have predicted it, 0 means they haven't, and it goes across horizontally of each prediction. So if we go to, where's KDB? There he is. So KDB, 96%, 24 out of 25 have predicted KDB to start. Just one City fan predicted that he doesn't start. Foden as well on the same boat. Only one person predicted Foden not to start. So again, I think Foden's a very good 1 week punt. Bernardo Silva, only one person has predicted him. So Gundogan's the one they're really unsure on. 68% predicting him to start. It looks like they generally think it's going to be Stones and Diaz in centre-back. Left back, either Ake or Gomez. But yeah, that would be what I would say regarding De Bruyne. My plan is to probably keep hold of him for the next 3, and then maybe here, when they face Liverpool away, I'll sell him for Salah. Maybe a bit risky for captaincy, though, to answer the first part of your question. Ank says, do I triple captain Mitrovic? I would save the triple captain. So there's obviously loads of postponements already. And what happens is these postponements move to later in the season, which causes double game weeks. So players will play twice in one game week. So you get twice the opportunities for their points. So you want to save the triple captain for the double game weeks. Generally a better time because you maximise your chances of getting points from those players. So yeah, save the triple captain. Max says, I've already got Saka and 3 City players. So Who else is there? You know, Maddison, you wouldn't want to go there. We've got Martinelli. You could go Martinelli. Trying to think who else there is as a 1 week punt. I can't remember if you said you could afford Kulusevski or not. Maybe not Kulu either. Yeah, there's not many options among the midfielders. Yeah, it's really slim pickings. Beyond that, maybe Gordon, home to West Ham. But yeah, there's not many besides that if you're tripled up on City and you've got Saka already. Dina or Salisu? Dina. Saka or Foden for 2 weeks? I would say Saka. Close one, but Saka for me. Arthur says, I like your voice. Thank you, Arthur. Isak or Tony? That's a really good question. I'm on Isak. I did have Tony in a few drafts, and I think Tony's better long term. But I'm happy to have Isak, and then I could make that switch in a couple of weeks if I wanted to. So Isak for me. Although he hasn't played much so far, his numbers are really impressive. So I think he's a great pick. Home to Bournemouth as well. Really good fixture. Russell, thanks for donation. He's got Pope, Cancelo, Trippier, Sessegnon, Nico, James on the bench. Martinelli, Saka, Andreas, Zaha, Haaland, Mitrovic. Hang on. Mitrovic, Kane. Oh, so it's A, Kane, Paqueta, and then Sterling for Saka and Gameweek 9, or B, Kane, Maddison, or C, Isak, De Bruyne, and bring in Maddison for Saka, Gameweek 9. Definitely not A. It's between B and C. Kane and Maddison, or Isak and De Bruyne. So I think Isak and De Bruyne, but that's, you know, that would be my answer because that's where I landed. I did look at Kane as a KDB alternative, and for me it was Isak and KDB. I mean, you have to look at the fixtures right in front of you first of all, and Maddison's away to Spurs. Great fixture for Kane, but look at Isak and KDB. I'd say both of those have got Hull potential. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Isak got a couple of attacking returns this game week. Maddison, it would surprise me. And then KDB and Kane, you'd say, you know, about even. You wouldn't be surprised if they hauled. So I would say option C. And then I like the Maddison for Saka in Game Week 9. Option C, Russell. Frederick says, if I can fit Son, KDB, Kane and Haaland, should I? No, I wouldn't do it. It ruins the balance too much. I looked at the threemium. I looked at Kane, KDB and Haaland, and that was too much for me as well. I think 4 is way overkill. That's going to completely kill your team balance. So, no, I wouldn't do that. I would consider the threemium. I think KDB, Kane, Haaland's okay. Because right now, on a wildcard, we don't want the likes of Salah and Trent, really. So suddenly we've got more money than we did have. So suddenly the threemium looks doable. But not 4. Not formium, or whatever you call it. Let's have a look at the scout selection, see who they're backing for Game Week 8. They've got Loris in goal, Cancelo, Trippier, Mikalenko. Midfield 4 is De Bruyne, Martinelli, Ward-Prowse and Almiron. And then a front 3 of Haaland, Captain, Kane and Mitrovic. What do you guys think of the scout selection? Adam says, good team to be honest. Quadmium. No, it can't be called that. It's the formium, isn't it? That's the thing. There's no word for it because no one's ever gone as crazy as 4 premiums. Sab's captain and Isak. Oof, big shout. Yeah, best of luck to the Isak captainers. I think he's only about 6% owned as well. You know, if he outscores Haaland, the upside's massive. William reckons it's average. Emmett says it's good. Yeah, it's not bad this week. Mikalenko, I'm not sure what they're thinking there is. I think you could double up with Newcastle defence. That's what I've done with Pope and Trippier, but they could have gone Trippier and Shah, for example. Yeah, some interesting picks, but it's a fairly good team. Bailey or Maddison? Oh, what do you guys think? Bailey or Maddison? I mean, I'm in a similar boat with Andreas or Maddison, and I started Maddison, so Maddison would be my answer. But yeah, it looks like Bailey will start based on what we've been told by Sam Martin. So I think Bailey's a good pick as well, but I would say Maddison. Oh, FPL Junkie says, which 2 players to start between Maddison, Bailey and Andreas? So, I'm in the minority here, but I'm starting Maddison over Andreas. I think it's a good fixture for Andreas as well, I have to say. But I'm starting Maddison. So it would be Maddison and in between Bailey and Andreas. And I think it would be Andreas. Bailey first on bench. Alexander Arnold. So used to saying Trent's name. Alexander Myers says, who would you choose for a 1-week punt before a wildcard? KDB versus Son and Isak versus Mitrovic. It would be KDB for me. Son's just not showing any promise to make you feel like it's justified to go there. 1 assist in 6 games. Isak versus Mitrovic. I think Mitrovic would be the way to go there. I mean, neither of their opponents look like keeping clean sheets. So I would say Isak. Sorry, I'd say Mitrovic and KDB. But I think this week Isak and Mitrovic are honestly about on par. So if you want to go for the differential, go Isak. I believe Callum Wilson is out as well, so he looks good for 90 minutes as well, which I really like. And OCC recording says, will Son start? And this is exactly it. Like, will Son even start? It's not guaranteed. He could easily have Kulusevski and Richarlison flanking either side of Kane. You know, Conte said in his presser, no one's immune to rotation. So it wouldn't surprise me. He looks like he needs a game off. Aish says, Perisic or James Ward-Prowse to transfer in for this week, sir. Very formal, calling me sir. Perisic or Ward-Prowse? I think Ward-Prowse. I would go a bit safer. I'll go Ward-Prowse between the two. I mean, Perisic is an exciting pick, but I think Ward-Prowse is the safer pick. Depends on your risk tolerance, Aish. I think Ward-Prowse looks better longer term as well, right? Because you probably want to bench Perisic in Gameweek 9 after the break when he's away to Arsenal. Oscar says, hi Oscar, what's your future plans on Haaland? My plan is to keep hold of Haaland. Probably indefinitely, to be honest. My plan is, so my loose plan, I'll show you what my loose plan is. It may change, but this is what I was thinking with how I've built this draft. So I've got 0.4 mil on the bank. So my thinking is, Game Week 9, I'll roll the transfer and I'll play Saka. Game Week 10, I'll probably go Saka to Zaha. The game week after that, I'll probably do De Bruyne to Salah. De Bruyne looks like he's going to rise tonight. It looks like Salah might drop, and as will Trent. And then when Man City blank in Game Week 12, I'll probably do Cancelo to Trent. So right now I'm 0.1 mil short, and this is why I had to go for Nico. Salah will drop basically, so, and as will Trent. So it looks like I'll be okay with the way I've structured it. But that's my loose plan. And Haaland will just remain in the team, and I'll just bench him in Game Week 12. I want to keep him long term. Really, it's not ideal selling Cancelo and De Bruyne. I mean, look at these City fixtures after. So good. So it's a difficult one, but Haaland definitely stays in the team. No plan to sell him at any point. You'd be mad to sell Haaland, wouldn't you? Oblivious says, you've got 5 players blanking in Game Week 12. What's the plan? Oh, okay. Well, that was the plan. So selling Saka to Zaha brings it down by 1. And then I can do De Bruyne to Salah, Cancelo to Trent. And suddenly my team's fine. And that's with a transfer spare as well. So there's a little bit of room to breathe there as well. What you don't want to do is you book in transfers with no transfers spared. Because you never know what's going to happen. They can have injuries, unexpected players missing out, whatever. You know, rotation. So it's good to have some flexibility. Don't book in transfers all the way into the future. Thanks for the donation, Friction Films, as well. Appreciate that. Thank you, mate. We'll have a quick look at the Goalscorer Odds. This is a graphic I prepared early this week. And Haaland's top on the Goalscorer Odds. 53% chance of scoring any time. Kane second. Isak and Mitrovic tied, 38.5% chance. Jesus is up there, which is what I was saying earlier. I'm a bit worried about Jesus. Hopefully he has a quiet game. and it's Martinelli and Saka who are involved, or at least outscore them, because I've got both. Because yeah, Jesus is still owned by like 7.6 million managers, so there is potential for him to do some damage there to those that sold him on the wildcard, like me. Emerson or Soufal? So Soufal looks a bit safer for minutes. Emerson's cheaper, 4 mil. Emerson's certainly not nailed though. He is a rotation risk, I have to say. It could be if Moyes plays with wing backs again, then it'll probably be both Cresswell and Emerson starting, but there's no guaranteeing he lines up like that basically. So I think Emerson's a good pick, but just acknowledge that there's a big risk, whereas Soufal's a bit safer, but he sets you back 0.4 more. Maybe Zuma's worth the extra 0.1 over Soufal for 4.5. I think Zuma's a good pick as well. Hashi says, would Richarlison not be good? He's just too much of a rotation risk is the problem. You don't know if he's going to start. And you don't want to spend whatever he is, 8+ mil on a player you don't know if they're starting. Isn't he a striker as well, Richarlison, on FPL? So the striker spots right now are valuable, which is crazy. I never thought we'd be in that position, because some of you probably remember last season the strikers were just woeful. There was just no options up top at all. But this season, suddenly we've got so many options. Like Haaland, Mitrovic, Isak, Tony, Jesus, even Solanke, Kane. Loads of options up top. If it's just for this week, Aish, I'd say Perisic. But it is a risky one. But if it's a 1 week punt, then I think it's fine to just accept that risk. And if he's benched, so be it. Because he's got the higher upside this game week, I would say. We'll do a captain poll, see how you guys are faring for captaincy. I'll chuck the link in the chat. Or maybe I'll just pin it. That'd be better, wouldn't it? There we go, I've pinned it. Yeah, get your votes in on the captain poll there. I've just pinned it, so you see it at the top of the chat. We'll have a look at how you guys are faring for captaincy this week. So the options were Haaland, Kane, Son, De Bruyne, Mitrovic, Isak, and other. I mean, pretty much as expected, the vast majority are in Haaland, about 80%. Kane's second. It's pretty close in third between Mitrovic and Isak. Looks like Isak might just edge it. Son's up there as well. A few votes for Son, other. Just one vote for De Bruyne. Yeah, Haaland's effective ownership is going to be ridiculous. It's going to be near 200% again. So, yeah, no surprises there on the captain poll, to be honest. Williams or Andreas? Andreas. Bailey or Bowen? I mean, again, totally different price points, but I'd say Bowen. Play Mings or Nico? I think Mings. I think I'd actually give Mings the nod. I was looking at him as an alternative to Nico. You know, last match, Villa put in a good performance at home, held Man City to a 1-1 draw. They're at home again, and Mings wasn't in the latest England squad, so he's got a statement. He needs to make a statement. He needs to work his way back into the England squad. And arguably the England squad does need a left-footed centre-back. So, yeah, I think Mings is a good option this week. They're fourth on the clean sheet odds as well. Tom says, Souček or Fornals, 5.9 in the bank. I'd probably go Souček. I think Fornals is too much of a rotation risk. You just don't know if he'll start or, you know, Cornet or how they'll line up. So I think Souček. I wouldn't expect much from Souček, but it'd be Souček between those two. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please do hit like on it. It makes a massive difference. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to say, actually. I wanted to say a quick thank you. I got the play button last week for hitting 100,000. So thank you so much for that. Really, really appreciate the support. It's crazy that I get to do this for a living now, thanks to you guys. So thank you for watching my videos and all the support. And yeah, the play button is now on my shelf next to the screenshot of when I was first in the world. So yeah, the mantelpiece is complete. So thank you so much for that, guys. I really appreciate you all. And what a shelf. Well, so Maximum be fit soon? Asks Yashaz. We just don't know. So Hal was very coy in his press conference. He didn't really indicate either way. If I was to guess, I would say he doesn't start, might make the bench, but there's a chance he doesn't even make the bench. So yeah, that's about all we know, to be honest. Juko says Dallo or Fofana. I went Fofana personally. Yeah, I think Potter's going to have a positive impact on their defence, as we saw at Brighton, right? I mean, so many of us were on the Brighton defensive assets when he was there. The likes of Dunk, Webster, Sanchez, all for like 4.5 mil. And now we've got Potter again, a much better team, and a defender for the same price, or in Fofana's case cheaper, 4.4 mil. Great fixtures. So I think Fofana's a great pick. Maybe a little bit of a rotation risk, but you'd think they wouldn't spend that much money for him to sit on the bench. So Fofana, I would say. Zani says, hey Oscar, can you rank the top 5 captaincy options this game week? Love the content. So I would put Haaland first still. Even though FPL Review had Kane slightly ahead, I would say Haaland first, and then I would say Kane. And then I probably would say it's close between Isak and Mitrovic. Probably Mitrovic, then De Bruyne, then Isak. I think in that order. But yeah, for me it's Haaland, number 1. I mean, he's yet to blank this season in any competition besides the Community Shield before the season kicked off. You know, it's just ridiculous. It's the kind of thing you want in an FPL asset, just the consistency. Gabriel says, I've been watching your videos for a long time, but this is my first season playing FPL. How are you finding it, Gabriel? Hope you're enjoying the game. I did a video before this season started, actually, like a beginner's guide, which is doing really well, actually. I didn't know if it would get many views or not, but yeah, the game's growing at a ridiculous rate. Last season, how many players did we have last season by the end? Was it like 9 million? I'm already at almost 10.5 million. Yeah, FPL's massive. Gets bigger and bigger every season. C says, why Saka over Zaha? Well, Zaha blanks this week, and my plan is to move Saka to Zaha in Gameweek 10 when Arsenal home to Liverpool. That's my plan. I think Zaha's a good pick as well, but on a wildcard, I just want to try and maximise how much I get this week, and Saka's really impressed me. Oh, Hadri says, Oman loves fplfocal. Shout out to Oman. Whereabouts is everyone tuned in from around the world? Where are you guys from? As always, if you guys tag me in a photo of your setup, wherever you're watching from, on TV, on your laptop, take a photo, tag me on Twitter, and I'll retweet it after the stream finishes. Love to see where you guys are tuning in from. Tatenda says, any regrets about your decision to wildcard? No regrets. So basically, I was down to 9 men after transfers, so I kind of had no choice. I would have probably held my wildcard for longer, but it felt like I would have used it at Gameweek 9 instead over the international break, but my hand was kind of forced this week because of the blanks. It felt like if I had 9 players after transfers, there's enough upside to pull the trigger now. It's not ideal right before the international break because there is always a little bit of risk of injury. Narnia, Bulgaria, South Africa, Norway, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, India, US, Bristol, shout out Bristol, Australia, Canada, Somalia, Seychelles, Surrey, Poland. Quite a few Somalians here. Waterford, Ireland, Nepal, Bangladesh, Zimbabwe, Paraguay. So this is it. It's incredible how global FPL is, right? It just continues to get bigger and bigger. So I feel very privileged to be sat here doing a live stream for you all. Chat's gone mad now. AFC Flow, thank you so much for the 7 months. If anyone's interested in becoming a member of the channel, It's the join button below the stream, or there's links in the description. There's Patreon as well. It supports the channel basically, and you get some perks like a badge by your name. There's a private channel on the Discord where you get early access to videos, that sort of thing. So yeah, thanks Flo. He's just renewed his for 7 months, and his message is, hey from Austria. Shout out to Austria, and shout out to Flo. And shout out to fellow Arsenal fans. Who do you guys support? I must already be at the rambling stage of the stream. We'll get back on track in a minute, but let me know. Who do you guys support? Yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan. It started through the family, actually. So my granddad was friends with the old Arsenal manager, George Graham. And it was kind of always in the family, and that's how I ended up an Arsenal fan. There's photos of me when I was like 4, and I was meeting like Bergkamp, Henry and all this, and I didn't realise like who I was even meeting at the time. Like a photo with Perez. So that's how I ended up an Arsenal fan from a very young age. Quite a mix. A lot of Chelsea fans. Everton, Leicester City, Altrincham, Leeds, Man United, Watford. Yeah, Watford's kind of like my secondary team because I live right by Watford. It really sucks that they got relegated because I used to go to Watford every season when they played Arsenal. I just have to sit on my hands in the away end though, which is always difficult because we tend to do well against them at Vicarage Road. Barrett says, making 3 changes from -4. I need to pick 3 between KDB, Son, Perisic, Cancelo, and Kulusevski and Foden, wildcarding in 13. I've already got Kane and Haaland. Thoughts? So it'd be KDB, Cancelo, and Kulu. That'd be the combination I go for. I think Cancelo's well ahead of Perisic this game week, just because of the minutes risk and just because he's way higher on the clean sheet odds. So yeah, I'd say Cancelo, KDB, and Kulu. Zani says, I just want to let you know that you make the best FPL content. Thank you, Zani. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Means a lot. Thank you. Andreas or Almiron? I would say Andreas between those two. Almiron's a good option as well. Let me just double check if I heard from... I had a Villa source who was going to sort me out with some news if he got any leaks or whatnot. Zuma or Soufal? I think Zuma. You know, Johnson could be back after the international break, so maybe he gets minutes in right back over Soufal. So I would say Zuma just for the more assured minutes. Soufal or James? James, but just bear in mind he blanks, obviously. I'm Everywhere says, this season is madness. It is. I really hoped we'd have another normal season. Sorry, finally have a normal season. Not another one, but we have another crazy season. More postponements. So it's like the 3rd season in a row now where we've had an abnormal season. But it is what it is. Here I am on the wildcard. I definitely wouldn't have been otherwise, but sometimes your hand is forced and you're down to 9 men. But to be fair, last season my hand was forced into using the free hit, and it catapulted me to #1 in the world. So sometimes it's a good thing. So hopefully this is a good wild card. Ari says, best defender under 4.5 mil and midfielder under 7 mil. Next 4 game weeks, excluding Martinelli. Midfielders under 7 mil. There's honestly so few. That's the problem right now because of the blanks. Because Martinelli's the obvious shout, but he's a no-go. And then the other picks like Maddison, Saka, Bowen are over 7. Maybe Gordon. Probably say Gordon for 5.5. I can't think of any others. If there's anyone I'm forgetting, let me know in chat. It would be St. Maximan if he was back from injury, but he's not. So, not St. Maximan. So, defenders under 4.5 mil. I think Nico's a good option. I'd say Shah from Newcastle. Who else? Emerson's a little bit risky in terms of minutes. Patterson's a bit more assured. There's a few options there. What did I... Oh, I scheduled a tweet. My phone's blowing up. I forgot I scheduled a tweet. Oh, yeah, it was my wildcard team. Oh, Harry replied. It says, wow, locking in next week already. Oh, Game Week 9. I tweeted Game Week 9. Oh, what have I done? Hang on. Delete. Alright, hang on. Let me redo that tweet. Alright, Gameweek 8. Let me take the screenshot again. How have I managed that? So this is it. Like I was saying, I would have wildcarded in Gameweek 9 instead, but my hand was forced into a Gameweek 8 wildcard. Alright, Gameweek 8. Delete that. Wildcard active. Alright, Gameweek 8, wildcard active. 0.4 mil on the bank. Was a couple of players I considered over Nico, but they potentially blocked off affording both Salah and Trent down the line. Alright, tweet. I think I scheduled it on Instagram as well, but I'll sort that out later. If any of you aren't following me on Twitter or Instagram, it's just at fplfocal. There we go. We move. I'm an absolute donut. Oh, Paqueta's, yeah, perhaps another one for under 7 mil. How much is Paqueta? Paqueta or Bowen? Between the two, Bowen. Paqueta wasn't in my thinking on the wildcard, to be honest. Not at all. But to answer that question earlier, under 7 mil, I think he is, so he could be a shout. Is he 6 mil? Or is he 7? PS says, why Fofana? It was like I was saying earlier. I think Potter's going to improve them defensively. You know, we look at Brighton. We were buying the likes of Dunk, Sanchez for the same price as Fofana. And this is a much better side than Brighton. No disrespect to Brighton, but Chelsea are better. I know they've not been in great form, but they are a better side. So for the same price, you can buy into that. So for me, it's just an obvious pick. And in my case, I don't actually need to use him much at all. The only time I'll probably play him is Gameweek 10, Wolves at home. Other than that, my back three is going to be Trippier, Cancelo, James. So Fofana's just there in case I need him. Cheap route into a good defence. Well, I hope a good defence under Potter, and I think he will improve them. And you think he has to get lots of starts for what they paid for him. I know he wasn't a Potter signing, but yeah, that's the reasoning. QUYC says Williams ahead of Andreas fplfocal. Yeah, only because I can't play two at the back. I can't start James or Fofana. Well, I could, and then Nico comes on regardless. Thank you, Daniel, for becoming an fplfocal member as well. I appreciate that. Thank you. And also, I completely forgot, but now I've remembered. Shout out to Milan. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but Milan became a member like 3 hours before the stream started. Luckily, when I was checking that the stream was set up, I spotted it. So thank you, Milan, for that. Really appreciate it. If any of the new members needed help setting up the Discord link for access to the private channel, let me know. You get early access to my videos. I'm on there every day chatting. So, yeah, that's one of the perks as well. Mikey Man in the chat. Are you on the wildcard, Mikey Man, or not? Did you pull the trigger? He's asking about the triple premium with Haaland, KDB and Kane. I think, like I said earlier, I think it's doable on a wildcard because right now we don't want Salah, we don't want Trent on a wildcard. So there's more money than we would have otherwise have had. So I think you can definitely do the threemium, and I think it is viable. I did consider it, but for me it was Haaland and De Bruyne. I did also consider Haaland and Kane with no De Bruyne, but I felt like I'd rather have the striker spot freed up because Isak and Mitra are better options than what you get for the same price in midfield. But yeah, I like the threemium. It's definitely good on the wildcard. Don't be afraid to go freemium. Beanbag says, do you rate Soufal? I'm going with him over Fofana. I rate him, yeah. It's just, he's not completely guaranteed. For 4.4 mil, you know, Johnson's back after the international break. Maybe gets a start here and there, don't know. Did I miss a super chat? Hang on. Where was it? Oh, it's Brian. He says, what's the thinking on Maddison over Andreas? Yeah, I've been really, I'm in an iron over this one, between the two. And I just think Maddison's got the highest ceiling. Everything goes through him, whereas at Fulham, Andreas isn't the main man. It doesn't all go through him. But it is a really close one because Fulham have got the better fixture. Leicester have the worst fixture, but you know, Spurs off the back of a 2-0 loss in the Champions League. It just wouldn't surprise me at all if Maddison got something. You even if it's a free kick out of nowhere. So yeah, that was the thinking. It is really a close one, and I know I'm in the minority with this because I've seen so many wildcard drafts with Maddison first on the bench. And maybe what his costs is playing in my mind a bit because, you know, he's, what, 7.9? Andreas is 4.6 or something like that. But I'm trying not to let that play in my mind too much. Let me unpin that poll. There we go. Message unpinned. Parminder says free hit or wildcard. Wildcard in my opinion, because you can tackle the blank on a wildcard and therefore you save the free hit. Whereas if you free hit now, you have to wildcard anyway. So logically, it's just a chip saved, isn't it? And the free hit's going to be better used later in the season once we get postponements and double game weeks. You know, there'll be. What we do know is that the entire league have got a postponement. So if they don't add an extra game week, which I'm not sure if they will, then we're going to have the biggest double game week in FPL history. It's never happened before where every team doubles, and that's something that will happen. So imagine free hitting into a week where every team in the league doubles. You know, the options would just be limitless. James says, Ramsdale, Mings, or Pope and a defender that won't play. How much have you got to spend on the defender that won't play? Because there are players like Nico and Emerson that might play. Or do you mean you won't play them in your team? But I would go Pope and the defender. As long as they're not a 3.9 mil defender, not ideal, because there are options for 4 mil like Emerson. I think Patterson's 4.1, Nico's 4.1. I'd go for one of those to complement Pope. Adam in the chat. Adam, I don't know if you saw, but I tweeted like a few weeks ago. I've got to try and find the tweet. I tweeted about like our first ever stream. When it was literally just you that tuned in and I was talking to you for like 3 hours. And if you hadn't tuned in, I probably wouldn't have come back to do another stream. I found it. Here we go. I don't know if you saw this tweet, Adam, or if you follow me on Twitter, but I said, shout out to Adam. In my first ever stream, he was the only one who tuned in, but I loved it so much, I decided to do another one. I would have never have bothered again if I'd streamed to no one. So shout out to Adam. This was my first ever stream, and it was just me and Adam chatting for like 3 hours. Yeah, and thanks to Adam, I really enjoyed the stream so much, I decided to give it another go. And then I later decided I'll actually try doing some videos, because at the time I just did like streams and that was it. So shout out to you, Adam. It's just crazy how much the channel's grown since then. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable. Like back then it said 1 watcher now, and now it says 2,687 watcher now. And that's just in the space of 1 year. It's crazy. Craziest year of my life. You know, hit 100k 3 weeks ago, and now it's already 118k. The channel's growing at such an unbelievable rate. I feel very lucky to do this. Bumper case. Just realised what I'm using. He says, that's class, bro. Congrats on your progress. Thank you. A lot of people saying Adam's a goat. He is a goat. Shout out to Adam. I never would have come back and done another stream if I was just streaming to no one. Fine margins sometimes. I never thought anyone would care what I had to say or content I had to make or videos or anything like that. And sometimes it's like that. Like I was listening to an interview with Lewis Capaldi earlier, and he was saying by pure chance his now manager found him, and he said if that hadn't happened he would have just been still singing in pubs and weddings and that sort of thing. So yeah, sometimes it's fine margins. So yeah, shout out to Adam. Mario says, also being ranked #1 last season boosted the channel. That's it as well. It's been like the most crazy year of my life. Like being #1 in the world and FPL as well. It's like the stuff you dream of if you play the game for as long as I have. This is my 12th season now, and it's just like this. I've never come even close to #1 in the world. You know, I've been like top 1k, but never #1 in the world. Never close. So for that to actually happen last season was also just ridiculous. The stars all seem to align in the space of 1 year. Starting with Adam. John says, what was your full-time job before this? I used to work in IT for 8 years. I've got a degree in computing, which is also pretty funny because I spent like a lot of money getting a degree. Graduated, Bachelor of Science in Computing. Worked in IT for 7 years, and then I ended up doing YouTube. Kim, thanks for becoming an fplfocal member. Appreciate the support. Thank you for that, Kim. Bailey or Madison? I think Madison. Trio says we're all number 1 in Gameweek 7. Yeah, that was Gameweek rank. I was literally number 1 in the entire world for 2 weeks. Or I spent 10 weeks in the top 2. I try not to flex it too often because I'm not the kind of guy to boast, but I mean, look at that screenshot. Come on. Chris Newton in the chat. I shouldn't have said your full name. I used to work with Chris. Shout out to Chris as well. Best 5 mil goalkeeper. I think Pope's over that now, isn't he? He's like 5.2. So, who are the options? Maybe Martinez. There's not many options under 5 mil now. Probably Martinez. I can't think of any others that I'd want. I think Villa will improve over the next 4 or so. The fixtures look good. So I do expect some improvement from Villa. Not a bad shout. I know some people are looking at Dina on the wildcard. Mings. I did have Mings in a couple of my drafts. Bowen viable. Bowen's viable, yeah. I mean, we look at West Ham's fixtures and let me see if I can pull up the fixture ticker. West Ham have got great fixtures. Obviously, Bowen's done nothing so far. That's the thing. No returns in 6 games, but the next 4 are Everton away, Wolves at home, Fulham at home, Southampton away. So these are the kind of fixtures where he might find some form. So he's not an awful option, but 8.1 mil is a lot to spend on a player who hasn't actually got any returns yet. But yeah, we do know what he's capable of. It's not like he's unproven. Last season he was so good. I think he got like 12 goals, 17 assists or something like that. So we know what he can do. He just hasn't got it going yet. Brian says get it tattooed. How would I even get it tattooed? That just like the number 1 on me. I did think about doing like a 100k special where I get a tattoo, but I bottled it. I was thinking like get the logo tattooed or something, but I've already changed my logo once. And also like who gets their own logo tattooed on them? Spurs predicted lineup is out. Oh, okay, let's have a look. What's his name? Paul O'Keefe. Yeah, if anyone doesn't know, Paul O'Keefe, he does the Spurs predicted lineups, and he says he doesn't have any information, it's just a prediction, but he tends to be extremely accurate with his predictions. He's got it bang on every time with Perisic in terms of when he starts and when he's benched. And he's predicted Son to be benched. Interesting one. So he's predicted a back 3 of Longley, Diaz, pronunciations well over the place, Romero. Perisic he's predicting does start, Emerson in right wing back. But he says it's just a prediction, obviously. Doesn't get any information. No Vardy, Maddison, Barnes and Dak are the front 3. Yeah, interesting. Okay. I guess that's reassuring for those who own Perisic. If anyone missed it earlier, we do know that Bailey starts. Sam Martin, good friend of the channel who often leaks Leicester but sometimes gets on the news, and he says that Bailey starts. How long we got? Half an hour till the deadline. If you guys have enjoyed the stream so far, do subscribe to the channel. I'm going to work on hopefully some original content over the break. I've got a few ideas written down. But yeah, ordinarily during the season I post 4 of our videos every week. So yeah, subscribe to the channel for that. Alvin Blocks in the chat, how we doing? He says, hey Focal. Chris says, let's see the wildcard sexy. This is the wildcard here. Yeah, so my wildcard's active. This is the team. Not ideal having Nico. I did look at a few other players like Soufal, Emerson, Mings. Dina briefly crossed my mind, but I can't do that to myself again. He destroyed me in Gameweek 1 and 2. The swing on that own goal was actually horrendous. You know, he was like minutes away from a clean sheet, and then he scored an own goal to wipe out the clean sheet and get negative points. Brutal. But anyway, BM says, same team as you, but I can't afford Fofana. Any alts? Who else is there? Cheaper than that, there's not many options. Emerson or Patterson, basically. Adam says, hey Focal, Sterling or KDB long term? I'd say KDB because he's got an extra fixture. FPL Focal, you're the deadline daddy. Chat, bruh. Why Everson over Ward? Yeah, so Everson, I don't think he'll play at all. I think Ward is number one, but I had to leave the option open to get both Salah and Trent down the line. And I might leave myself too short change to make those moves for both Trent and Salah. So it's not ideal. Arguably, Everson deserves a chance. I think he was at Derby last season, and I heard he was great there in the Championship. Ward's been awful. You know, no clean sheets yet this season. Yeah, 3.9 mil, so I had to save a little bit of money. And he seems like the likeliest for 3.9 mil to get a start at some point. But yeah, it looks like Ward's going to be number one still. This is Bakri, says, hi Focal, love your content from Saddam. Thank you for that. Why is chat calling me daddy now? Oh dear. Would you play Emerson or Nico? Probably Nico. I don't expect Forest to keep a clean sheet. There is a chance of it. What are the clean sheet odds? We actually haven't looked at the clean sheet odds yet. Their odds aren't great. 27% chance. Just over 1 in 4. But Nico's got way better attacking threat. So I would say Nico. But yeah, Newcastle at the top of the clean sheet odds this week. 47% chance. City is second. 45%. Spurs, then Villa. Arsenal, West Ham, Fulham, Forest, Everton, Southampton, Brentford, Bournemouth, Leicester, and then Wolves, rock bottom. 10.5% chance. Home to City. Father Focal. That's so funny. Birdler says, how did you come up with the name FPL Focal? Obviously, like nowadays, everyone's names are just FPL and then a random word. Like there seems to be every word now. Like I saw there's a new one recently, FPL Radiator, and he was like, oh, I'm here to just give warmth to the FPL community. I was just like saying words out loud that sounded good afterwards. And fun fact, for a week, my username was FPL Bin, and I've still got the email address, so I signed up. I've got an FPL Bin email address, and then I was like, oh, that's terrible. I can't be FPL Bin. So then I was like thinking of other names, and I was like, oh, Focal, alliteration, 2 Fs, FPL Focal, sounds alright. And I just went with FPL Focal. And obviously it wasn't taken. I had to come up with something original that wasn't taken. Do you think it's a good username? FPL Focal. I think it's alright. You could say FPL Bin was rubbish. Exactly. Jake says, Bella Kotchap. This is the Southampton fullback, right? Yeah, he's an option for 4.5. I think I'd rather Mings for 4.3. I did have a look at him. I think Walker Peters may be the better pick. Certainly better underlying attacking numbers. Will Foden start? I think he starts, yeah. I think he starts. Makov says FPL Bin clears. FPL Radiator. Thank you to Lauren too as well for becoming an FPL Focal member. Thank you for the support. Really, really appreciate that. Yeah, if anyone's interested in becoming a member, it's the join button below the stream. All those links in the description. You get like a badge by your username in chat and comments, and there's a private channel on the Discord where I'm online every day chatting. You get early access to videos, some goodies like that, and obviously just supports the channel if that's what you want. So thank you for that. And thank you to Rakagumi, he also just became a member. Shout out to Rakagumi and Lauren too for becoming members. Appreciate you both. Thank you so much. Lauren 2 says, any chance you have the expert ownership stats, including the wildcarded teams? No, I don't, unfortunately. It's really difficult to track when there's loads of transfer activity. So on the experts video, the template team is how it looks next game week, but the percentage ownerships are based on the last game week. So right now that would be useless because there was like 40% of them had the wildcard active. So it's hard to say. But yeah, the template team is basically going to be the 11 most owned players, so it won't be far off that. They were a bit divided in terms of De Bruyne and Kane. What do you guys think? De Bruyne or Kane on a wildcard? Trippier or Kulu, asked Jerry. Trippier. FPL bin daddy. That is the worst username. Why pick Isak over Tony? I think it's such a great fixture for Newcastle, home against Bournemouth, who have conceded more goals than any team. Obviously 9 of those were against Liverpool, but I think it's such a good fixture for Newcastle at home. Who was it? Isak or Tony? Yeah, and Tony's against Arsenal, which I think is going to be a tough fixture for Brentford. Partey's back from injury. If he starts, it's going to be a massive boost to Arsenal. In Arsenal's first 3, when he started as well, they kept 2 clean sheets. And then in the 3 games since, they haven't kept any. And we saw the same thing last season. Arsenal completely fell apart when he got injured at the end of the season. And obviously they ended up missing out on Champions League as well. And I think a big part of that was his injury. So he's a massive boost. Tango says, love the game thing at the bottom, Oscar. Yeah, shout out to planfpl.com. I came up with the idea for a ticker and I dropped him a DM and I said, this is something you'd be interested in working on. And I think he lets a couple of other streamers use it as well. So yeah, he developed it. Planfpl.com, really, really good tool for planning your teams for future game weeks. So shout out to Reese, who is the guy who developed the ticker there at the bottom for the channel. Maddison or Zaha? I think Maddison, because he's got the fixture this week. Zaha's a great pick as well, but I would say Maddison edges it because he's got a fixture this week, and then he's got Forest at home in Gameweek 9 when Zaha has blanks and then has a blank and then Chelsea. Bailey or Andreas? I would say Andreas. It's a close one though. Go with your gut on that one. Rakagumi says Fofana and Soufal or Digne and Nico Williams. On the wildcard, the rest is Trippier, Cancelo and James. So I've got the Trippier, Cancelo, James triple up, and then I've got Fofana and Nico. I actually prefer Nico to Soufal, personally. There's not much in it, but I prefer Nico to Soufal even. So, but if I had to pick one, I would say... Oh, it's close. I would say Digne and Nico. Thoughts on Coutinho? We just don't know 100% if he starts or not. You know, Gerrard's benched him here and there, and he's been changing formation here and there. Buendia could take his spot, could start a game. So I think Coutinho, I wouldn't go there personally. I'll say that we're going to score tonight now, but I think it's a risky one. Aftab Play says your voice is very calming. Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, if FPL doesn't work, I'll maybe just do one of those apps where people read like stories. Have you seen it? What's the app called? Calm. I always see it advertised on TikTok, and the lady's got like the most relaxing voice. But I don't want to put you guys to sleep. I need to wake up. I've got like 20 minutes till the deadline. Let's wake up. How we doing? Bench in the right order, guys. Captain on the right players. Team locked in. Maddison or Andreas? I'm starting Maddison. I think most people are starting Andreas though. Delia says St. Maximan's not starting, is still injured. Okay, there you go. Thanks, Delia. No St. Maximan. Mitrovic or Isak? Mitrovic. Keep your questions coming. We'll do some quick fire questions. New video idea. Try making drafts and managers with lower squad values. Not everyone has enough budget. When I do like my team selections, it's my team. I'm not really like building a team for someone else. It's just sharing how my team will look. If you're following my wildcard team, for example, then you just have to make a sacrifice in one player. You know, for example, you go Zaha over Saka or something like that. It tends to just be one player that's different. Not a big difference. Saka or Kulu? Saka, in my opinion. Graham Potter's sacked. Gordon or Eze? Gordon. Saka or Odegaard? Saka. Henshi says, is it dumb to not captain Haaland? It's not dumb. There's some good options this week. Kane's a good option. Mitrovic and Isak, decent options. De Bruyne's an option. It just comes with a big risk. There's massive rank upside. So if they outscore Haaland, there's huge ground to make up. Whereas with Haaland, he's going to be by far the most popular captain, so you don't gain much for every point he gets you. So it's just weighing up the risks, basically. Bowen or Gordon? I'd say Bowen, but they're totally different price points. Tanashi says, are you planning on getting Salah and Trent soon? When? Yeah, I'll show you what my loose plan is. This is just a loose plan, but this is why I had to go for Everson over Ward, unfortunately. So in Gameweek 9, I'll roll the transfer. Gameweek 10, I'll probably do Saka to Zaha, which frees up 1 mil in the bank. And then I would probably do, and then in game week 11, I'd probably do De Bruyne to Salah. And then in game week 12, I'd probably do Cancelo to Alexander-Arnold when Man City blank. So that's my loose plan. It's minus 0.1, but I think Salah and Trent will both drop. De Bruyne's going up, so if he goes up twice, then that's a double rise as well. So that's the loose plan, and it leaves me with one spare transfer as well, just in case of anything unforeseen. But that's the plan, to get Salah and Trent back. But it is a bit of a headache because Man City's fixtures are very good after the blank in Game Week 12. I will keep hold of Haaland regardless, though. Thanks for the super chat, Pingu. Pingu, what a TV show that was. He says, hi Oscar, aka Mr. Relaxed Voice Dude. Play one between Nico Soufal or Andreas. For me, it's Andreas, and then I'd have Nico ahead of Soufal on the bench even. Yeah, Andreas. Artie says, stop saying Saka, it's football. Stop saying Saka. That's such a bad joke. Alright, sorry, football. Rida says, are you sure about Isak? His underlying numbers have been really impressive. I know he's only played in 2 games, but his underlying numbers have been really good. Unlucky not to score against Palace. But it's a great fixture, home to Bournemouth. And then Fulham's not a bad fixture either, Brentford. And then there is the option to sell him for someone like Solanke or Tony. But I quite like him. And what's his ownership? 7.1%, really low. Chimp Flipper Jr. says, is it worth taking a -4 for Jesus or Tony to Mitrovic? Not for a -4, no. I would keep hold of them both, not for a -4. You're asking for a lot there for those 2 strikers to blank and also for Mitrovic to outscore them by 4. Delia says, Isak this week and then get Tony after. Al-Hajri says, Hooker and FPL... Hang on. I'm not reading that. Even though he didn't mean that kind of hooker, I'm not reading that out because I'll get demonetized. OP Talent says, Wildcard, Saka, Foden for 2 weeks and then Zaha, or Zaha and play Andreas. For me, it's the first combo, Saka and Foden. That's what I've done. I was very tempted to go Zaha and then start Andreas instead. But I think there's more upside in going Saka over Andreas. Or football, as that terrible joke of a super chat said. So I prefer the first option. Ben Phillips says, Father Focal High. Hello. Tatenda says, do FPL creators watch Premier League games at home? Yeah, I watch the vast majority of games at home. I was actually going to go to PSV, which was going to be yesterday, and then it got postponed, so that was really annoying because I actually would have gone to the game. Yeah, but I don't go to many games, to be honest with you. I'm an Arsenal fan. It's a very expensive day out. You have to pay like 25 quid for Red membership, and all that does is it makes you eligible to actually buy a ticket, so you pay just for the privilege to look for tickets on their website. But yeah, I'll definitely go to a few games this season. I live near Watford, so obviously until this season, whenever Watford have played Arsenal, I've gone to every game as well. I don't know about the other content creators though. I saw FPL Mate said he went to Chelsea on Wednesday. But he's an Arsenal fan, obviously, but I think his mate had a ticket or something. Where did I get to? Rakagumi says, Saka or Zaha, Dino or Fofana, and Isak or Tony. I think Tony's a really good option, but you know, obviously, my opinion will be how I've selected my team, and for me, it's Isak over Tony. I think this week there's a much higher upside in going Isak over Tony, and again, there's much higher upside going Saka over Zaha, and that's what it's all about: maximising the potential in your team. This game week, Zaha doesn't even play, Saka plays, and it's not a bad fixture. So Saka for me, Isak for me. Dino or Fofana is a difficult one. They're about an even, so I'd say go over your gut there. Dino, you can play this week if that's something you need. CFJW says, you don't fancy KDB captain? Nah, not for me. It's got to be Haaland. You know, he's yet to blank this season, so it's got to be Haaland. If anyone's not a member of the fplfocal Discord, I'll chuck a link in the chat. We've got things like the price changes, we've got the lineups, we've got live scores, we've got live points, bonus points, there's game week stats, injury updates, and you can actually pick which alerts you want to receive. You get them on your phone, so even if it's just price changes every night, yeah, I definitely recommend. We've got something like 11,000 members, so there's the link to join. Super chat from Amir, thank you for that. He says, would you rather let I Show Speed take care of your Gameweek 8 wildcard or take a minus 82 hit? I don't even know who that is, but what's his credentials? Is he good at FPL? I would take a minus 82 hit. I don't think you can even take hits that big anymore. After everyone got hacked last season, they limited it to like 20 transfers. Maybe you can do minus 80. 20... be 19 times 4. Yeah, I'll let him take care of the wild card. I'll put it in the chat one more time for those that aren't in the Discord. We've got 10 minutes till the deadline. Keep your questions coming. If you have enjoyed the stream, please do hit like on it. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Jamie says, does Nico play with the Aurier sign-in? Yeah, he'll keep playing in my opinion. Nico's arguably been their best player this season, so I'd say Nico keeps playing. Aurier, I don't think he's even up to speed. I think he had an injury. He'll have no match fitness. You know, by the time he's up to match fitness, we're nearing the World Cup anyway. You know, so I would say Nico's fine. He's been really good. The boss says, what's good, Oscar? Sorry I'm late. Bowen worth the punt. Yeah, we were talking about Bowen a bit earlier. He's not a bad punt. The fixtures are good, but no returns in 6 games. So 8.1 mil is a lot, but he's not a bad punt at all. I've seen him in quite a few wildcards. Nikesh says, why Fofana over a West Ham defender with James already? I don't really need to use this defender at all. The only time I'll probably play Fofana is here against Wolves at home. So Fofana could be someone like Soufal, but you know, realistically, I'm not expecting West Ham to keep a clean sheet away to Everton. West Ham have looked pretty poor. They look pretty awful in the Europa League or Europa Conference, whatever it's called. So I think Fofana's better. You know, 4.4 mil, buying into a team that, you know, are looking for top 4. Just makes sense to me. And as I say, my back three is going to be Trippier, Cancelo, James. So Fofana, I rarely need him, but if I do need to call upon him, it's pretty good fixtures for Chelsea. Hopefully a new manager bounce. So a quick look if there's any leaks or whatnot. Someone asked about Spurs. There's no Spurs leaks, but Paul O'Keefe is generally very good for predicting the Spurs lineup. And interestingly, he's got Son on the bench, not starting. It's just a prediction, so it might be wrong. Let's see. Bailey and Coutinho both start tonight. There's some news. Don't think there's anything else. No Vardy, Maddison, Barnes and Daka, the front three. New Belgian signing starts in centre-back with Evans. That's really good news. So one thing that, in my opinion, one observation I had about Leicester is that they're a bit all over the place in terms of the formations. Rodgers has been playing different formations. He's playing Ndidi in centre-back, this sort of thing. So with this new signing, this new centre-back signing, actually playing centre-back, then I think that's going to help out the team balance. And sometimes it's something small like that can have a big impact on the whole team. So I think that's good news. And perhaps that's going to align perfectly with the turn in fixtures for Leicester. Benjamin says, how much in the bank? 0.4 mil in the bank. It says on the right hand side, I've got a little transfers and tab table on the stream. Don't think there's any other leaks other than that. Tarek says, Focal, have a great weekend. You too, Tarek. Have a good weekend. Start Gordon, bench Dina. Yeah, I'd start Gordon. Home to West Ham. Good fixture. So if anyone's tuning in last minute to the stream, my wildcard's active. This is the team. I activated the wildcard because I was down to 9 men after transfers. So it just felt like my hand was forced and there was enough upside to pull the trigger now. I would have otherwise used it over the international break, but I don't think it's the end of the world to use it a week early. And I've got a little bit of bench depth just in case of any surprises, but hopefully there'll be none. IE says, feel like Kane captain will be mildly different and could help me jump up. I also feel Haaland maybe gets rested. Thoughts? I think Haaland starts. You know, he had the last weekend off, right? And then it was the Champions League against Dortmund. He did play 90, I think. But he had that rest. So, and then I think his next game for Denmark's on Thursday. So it's quite a nice gap between games there. And he's had that rest. So I agree, though. I think Kane, obviously, FPL Review had Kane projected slightly higher than Haaland. Not by much. But yeah, he's an interesting differential. Which is crazy to say about Haaland, about Kane. Yeah, he's definitely an option. And if it comes off, yeah, you shoot up the ranks. It just comes with that risk that if Haaland outscores him, then it's going to hurt your rank somewhat. Andrew says, when I hear your voice on videos, I picture Example's face. When I see a face, you look nothing like Example. Is that the rapper, Example? God, I haven't heard his name in so long. Example. He was so good back in the day. What happened to him? August says, hey, Focal, thoughts on Almiron? Yeah, Almiron's not a bad option. I think I prefer Andreas for cheaper. Or Bailey for cheaper. Bailey starts tonight, we do know. So does Coutinho. Play Patterson or Nico. I think Nico's got the higher upside. Oh, did I miss the super chat? Hang on, let me scroll up. Where was it? Will says, why Everson over Ward? Do you expect him to start? I don't. Arguably, he deserves a start because Ward's been doing so poor. But I had to leave enough in the bank to be able to do De Bruyne and Cancelo to Salah and Trent. I'll probably make those two moves here around when they face Liverpool and then they blank in Game Week 12. It was cutting it really fine if I went for Ward over Everson. You know, and I think I'm happy to be starting Pope long term, to be honest with you. You know, the World Cup is here, 12th of November, Game Week 16. My birthday, by the way, 12th of November. And then there's no football for 6 weeks, or no Premier League football for 6 weeks. So I just need Pope to go there, over that run. So I'm happy with that. Don't really need to start Ward. A few minutes till the deadline. Keep the questions coming if there's any last minute questions. If you are enjoying the stream, do hit like on it before you go. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Gordon or Andreas for the bench? I think I'd bench Andreas. You have to start Gordon. Thank you all to all the good luck messages. Appreciate you. Thoughts on Ward-Prowse? Yeah, Ward-Prowse is a good pick. Yeah, I don't dislike the Ward-Prowse pick at all. Lucas says, Isak or Mitrovic? If you look at Pep, he historically doesn't rotate his talisman. E.g. Messi and Lewandowski. Hang on. If you look at Pep... Oh, right, you're talking about the Haaland rotation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, and he could be onto a record-breaking season, so I think he starts as well. Isak on Mitrovic. I think Mitrovic, you know, there is a slight question mark over Callum Wilson once he's back, which is probably after the international break. So Mitrovic, he's the main man. He's on penalties. So Mitrovic over Isak for me. Is Bailey worth a start? Yeah, he's worth a start, definitely. Thoughts on Mings? I like the Mings pick. He made it into a few of my drafts. Yeah, I like Mings. 4.3 mil. Has a point to make. He was omitted from the latest England squad. So, yeah, I think Mings is a good pick for 4.3 mil. Aston Villa 4th on the clean sheet odds this week. Can't go wrong for 4.3 mil. Punt on Isak. Yeah, I love the Isak pick. Got him myself, Will. Bowen or Maddison? I think Maddison. I think Maddison's better long term. You know, Bowen's not even got a return yet in 6 weeks, so Maddison for me. You know, Maddison's put up a few attacking returns, despite Leicester being terrible. And I do think this new centre-back, I forget his name, it's like Price or something. I think he's going to be a massive boost to Leicester because they'll have Ndidi probably playing in midfield. They'll help the team balance out. Or is it Samari's been playing centre-back? But anyway, I think it's going to be a big boost to Leicester's team balance. And yeah, I think he's been a bit overlooked. Is Kane a good option? Kane's a great option. Zaha versus Maddison. Maddison. No Salah or Trent. No Salah or Trent. Blank this week, and they've got some tough fixtures coming up, so no Salah or Trent. I plan to get them back in around Gameweek 11-12. But yeah, I'm going to put together this 4-week plan to go without, and then I'll bring them back in later on. That's the plan. Is that the deadline? Locked. We made it. That flew by. That was 90 minutes. That was probably the fastest stream I've ever done. I did not feel like an hour and a half. Enjoyed that. Adam in the chat again says locked. Locked. We made it. Thank you all for tuning into the stream. Been a great turnout. We had like 2,500 or so at the peak. So thank you for that. If you did enjoy the stream, before you go, hit like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I'll be putting up some content over the break. I'll do like a wildcard video. Not for me, obviously. But I'll do like a, you know, the best wildcard for Gameweek 9. And I'll hopefully work on some original ideas. I've got a few ideas written down that I'd like to work on. I had, this sounds really sad, but some of the best ideas I've had come to me when I go to bed at night and I close my eyes. Just as I'm about to fall asleep, I suddenly like think of it, and then I'm like, oh yeah. So I quickly write it down on my phone and come back to the next day to see if it's still a good idea. And one idea I had is to do regular football content on a separate channel. What do you guys think of that? Would you enjoy that? Not so much this kind of stuff where we're talking about FPL and, you know, the bookies odds and projected points, but more general videos. Like if you saw my video on what would Messi be like if Messi was an FPL, that sort of style video, stuff like that, but original football content rather than pure FPL. So that was an idea I had. One for the future, probably not in the immediate future, but that was an idea I did have. Anyway, let me know if you like that idea. Let's have a look at who we could raid. Who's live? Let's go filter on that. Live. You like the idea? Yeah, I think it'd be good. I'd like to work on some original ideas like that. You know, it could be like who's the greatest footballer of all time or something like that, and just put my own spin on it. Let's see. Who should we raid? Oh, yes, we'll raid Total Tactics. I was talking to him earlier. Fran, he's a great guy. Good FPL manager, and he's thinking about rebranding his channel to FPL Fran. So we'll go raid him. Tell him Focal sent you. And appreciate you all tuning into this deadline stream. We'll head over to Total Tactics. Probably FPL Fran he'll be called in not too long. But right now he's called Total Tactics FPL. Great guy. Met him a few times in person at FPL meetups. So head over there. Appreciate you all tuning into the stream. That's it from me. Enjoy the international break, and I'll see you afterwards. Focal out.